Yo, what's up, people? Let me turn off self-destruction, baby. Self-destruction. Hold on, play the chorus. Hold on. All right, that's what's up. Nice little non-expected musical interlude. I'm finishing off what my last blog was about in terms of writing diverse characters to going on my soapbox, right? Going on my soapbox and talking about the need for diverse characters and the need for diverse stories in sci-fi and in general, but mostly in sci-fi. Of course, that's comic books, that's film, and that's novels as well. So that's really what I'm just going to spend some time talking about. It's a soapbox, but you kind of can look at it as a tip, because I think there is a need, there is a want, a desire, strong interest in a different angle at science fiction thought, and Black Panther breaking all of the expectations this February 2018 kind of displayed how that just the need for it, the need for diversity, how successful it will be, because we've been presented with a certain narrative in science fiction. And same thing with Luke Cage. He's just a hero that's been remade in Netflix, and people went bananas because they hadn't seen anything like that. And as a writer, you certainly want to write something that is not out there in the market, something that the market is craving and looking for. So science fiction is getting hot in general. It's dominating the box office. It's dominating books. Video games is pretty much all sci-fi. Comic books, we do have graphic novels, but even many of them are science fiction stories. So yeah, science fiction is hot right now. What is science fiction, right? Science fiction is speculative fiction with the use of science in it. It's not just, anything we don't have, you put in a story, whether it's a robot or a piece of technology, and you show how it would impact our world. You're speculating because we don't have it, right? So that becomes a science fiction story. It's a story, it's anything where science impacts the story. So even if it's old science, if it impacts the world that we live in, maybe in a way that hasn't been impacted before, that is science fiction, speculative fiction. They like to say science fiction answers the what if. What if this happened? Oh my God, what if aliens came? What if, nature retaliated? What if this goes on? What if we continue doing what we're doing? Not necessarily bad things, not necessarily good things, just anything for a while. So those are some of the central questions that science fiction answers. And that's what science fiction is. Now, people may have just looked at it as horror because of TV shows like The Outer Limits, Twilight Zone, and the uses of sci-fi and the emergence of it being with horror. But science fiction is not a bunch of horror stories. Hell, the future should not scare you. The future should excite you. I can't wait to go to the future. If I could leap 50 years, 100 years, 500 years into the future, I would love to do that. Of course, take my family with me and my friends, but if I could go into the future and just take a look at it and come back, I'm not scared of the future. I'm excited, mostly because I'm making the future. Hell, I'm an optimist. So science fiction needs more optimism, okay? We got problems today, we overcome these problems. We had problems yesterday, years ago, and we overcame those problems. So to think that the problems that we may encounter, we won't overcome them is pessimistic. It's a negative look on things. So why do we need diversity in sci-fi? Well, same reason we need diversity in everything. Just diversity is different looks at things. So how Asians look at certain things is important for the world. How Europeans look at certain things is important for the world. How black people look at things is important for the world. And when we don't have all of those elements hitting, we aren't fully functioning as a human species. Now, as black people, I do a presentation called Black Dreams Matter. Why do I do that presentation? I mean, when I was 16, I knew I was going to have a family, and I envisioned myself as a grandfather and all those things, mostly because I had a grandfather and I had a father, right? But there's a lot of black kids that never envision themselves living past 25, God forbid 40, and I'm 50 now, so that is beyond some people's imagination. And what happens when you don't imagine living that far? Well, when I was younger, I started thinking about where I was going to live. I started thinking about what I was going to do. I was thinking about how I would support myself. And all of my moves were not checkers, but chess moves. Even if I wasn't a good chess player, even if I wasn't good at planning for living at 80 years old, I was planning for it. So a bad plan is better than no plan. So I know now things that I would have told myself about in the past, but shoot, now I can, but at least I had something. There's some people that just lived for the day and they end up in a whole lot of problems. Baby mama drama, it's just one of those things. Every girl I dated, I was wondering if she gonna be the one, or I'm gotta wear my condoms. Let me make sure. Let's feel this out. I didn't, it was a whole lot of girls that was fun for the moment, but we just didn't finish vibing. And if I just wanted to continue having, a great time for the day, yeah, maybe would have still been with them. I would have probably been with them 8 years, 9 years. Sex was great, but there was more to what I wanted from a woman than just great sex. That's preaching in another aspect, but going back to writing and why science fiction is important, and why we have to think of the future, is because I made all those intelligent decisions because of the future, okay? As black people, we will all individually do these things if we have a trigger. If something makes us think of the future, we will think of the future. So that's why we need sci-fi. Not to mention, we need to envision things other than other people's outlook on things. I always say all the time, we don't know if there is life on other planets. And we damn sure don't know if it comes here, will they want to eat us, kill us, or enslave us. There are more than just those options. But if you look throughout European Western science fiction, E.T. pops up as about the only little alien that accidentally came here that didn't want to do us harm. And again, I just think that it fits the narrative of Columbus and the explorers going around the earth looking for places to enslave, colonate, destroy, and exploit. So again, as a black person, we certainly traveled the earth. Egyptians traveled the earth. They circumnavigated all of the continents. They brought culture with them. I think the Incas and whoa, sorry, I'm going too fast. Hit a pothole. I think the Incas and the other mound building Native American cultures were directly influenced by Egyptian travels. So I think if you look into black science fiction, this Black Science Fiction movement, State of Black Sci-Fi, Black Science Fiction Society, BlackSciFi.com, these comic book conventions, ECBOC, ChemFest, all of them. I can't go on. The one we do here in Miami, which we just called it the SciFi Expo of Miami. You'll see a variety of different stories, more than just the ones that you see by Gene Roddenberry, Robert Heinlein, and various other science fiction, Asimov, right? You'll see a variety of different stories and interpretations of the future and space life. These things will inspire us. It will inspire us to think and plan for the future, how we design our cities today, how we design the cars, how we start to conserve things, where we invest our money. All that comes from futuristic thought. And if you think engineers and city planners are not futurists, you don't know those fields. And those are futurist careers. And so what sci-fi writing does in terms of any kind of fiction, it plants seeds in those young people and people in general. Whether you 50 years old and you read a sci-fi book, you get an idea, you go back to your corporation and you say, you know what, we're going green. You know what, we're going to build a building, and in our building we're going to have levels where you can grow vegetables. Why? Well, I don't know why I thought of it. I read this book, all of these different things. Think about how many people were influenced by Star Trek, okay? Just that one thing, the cell phone, it's just space travel. We already have federations of nations cooperating for space exploration. So that comes directly from Star Trek. So anyway, I'll just say this again. There is a need for diversity in science fiction. There is a need in diversity in stories in general. Get this thing tighter. Stories in general. But why sci-fi? Because black dreams matter. The dreams of black kids and black people, because black people will be in the future. We may be the future, right? But we will be in the future. There's going to be a variety of people there, and we need to hear from all of them. And we want them to envision themselves to be there. So black sci-fi may be the most empowering genre of fiction literature, okay? And you need to start dreaming, and speculating, and getting down with the black sci-fi movement. That's my soapbox for these writing tips. But I also think because of Black Panther and Luke Cage, the market is right for more of these stories. I'm calling every publisher I know right now after Black Panther came out and be like, yo, now look at my manuscript. All right, now look at my screenplay for my movie. What's up? Let's make a black sci-fi movie. Let's do this. I got a black sci-fi comic book. Let's go. All right. So yeah, that's my tip. Black sci-fi, diversity in science fiction. Write it. Make it happen. Talk to you later.